Well, if you've been following along, you know we're all talking about the hardest lessons, and it really makes us look inside and say, what was the hardest lesson that I had to learn? And I want to share one with you that I hope you never have to learn. My biggest problem was that I love to work, and at the time when I started my direct selling business, Neil was going to school full time. We only had one child, and I just worked and worked and worked and worked. And the problem was I stopped thinking about my family and why I was working. I just loved it. I loved sales. I loved making all the trips and the incentives, and I didn't really keep a close watch on my real priority, which was my family. And sad to say, I think a lot of us do that. If we really get caught up and we're interested and we want to make commitments to people, and people ask us to do things and we're like, yeah, yeah, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll make this one, I'll jump for this one, and we forget maybe why we started the business in the first place, which was to make some extra income for our families. So I'm not saying stop working. That's not at all. But for me, the biggest lesson that was learned is to make my family a priority in my calendar. You know, I would always say God, family, then my business, and I'm sure many of you say that too. But to make it reflected in your calendar is a very different thing. In fact, I'm not real proud of this, but I remember Neil sitting down with me after we'd been in the business for several years and saying, you know what, something's got to give, because I feel like you're just scheduling time with me like one of your parties. And that's not a good feeling for your family to have. I remember my son saying, you know what, I think I'm emotionally scarred because you missed my seventh grade open house. And while it's a joke, it's not a joke. We are in control of our business, and we're in control of ourselves and how we manage our time. And so for me, the biggest lesson to learn was to make my calendar reflect my priorities. You do that, and I think you'll be much happier and much more in balance.